what we're doing, trying to make a better Australia.
Thank the member for Macquarie, and I call the member for Fisher.
Thanks, Mr Deputy Speaker. In the second week of October, I hopped on my push bike for my 5th annual Tour de Fisher. Each year, I cycle the length and breadth of the Fisher electorate, holding listening posts in local parks and cafes. This year, I think, was the biggest yet, with 23 listening posts in 23 towns over 4.5 days. It began with a launch in chaotic weather from Kings Beach, which almost blew us away. I held a listening post in Beerburum's new cafe at Phillies, and I was treated to an impromptu question time at Montville State School. I called on Labor to come to the table on Sunshine Coast Rail from Beerwah Station, and I visited businesses right across Fisher, from Sippy Downs to Golden Beach. Each time I'm reminded that we really do live in the greatest place on earth on the Sunshine Coast, and it's largely thanks to the people who call it home. Only a week later, Deputy Speaker, I joined leaders and volunteers from across the Sunshine Coast for the annual Fisher Community Awards. I want to send out my gratitude and enormous thanks and praise to Kim McCosker, who is our MC, and to Priscilla and the Caloundra Powerboat Club and Brenda at Brenco Trophies for their support. Each year we honour those unsung, fantastic people in Fisher. I'm not going to say that phrase unsung heroes, because I think that is totally overdone, but it's those amazing people who often go without recognition that make Fisher the place to be for education, employment and retirement. And while I spoke about Students of the Year yesterday, I want to acknowledge a few more of the award winners from the Fisher Awards night. We had the Fisher Educator of the Year, Mr Murray Finch, who after 40 years continues to teach at Caloundra State High School. 40 years, Deputy Speaker. Can you imagine being a paediatrician for 40 years? You probably can, actually.
I have been.
Inspiring, active, living and offering boys a valuable male role model. Fisher Education Provider of the Year, Kairos Community College Caloundra, whose unique approach to holistic group learning is giving vulnerable and otherwise disengaged young people the chance to realise their potential and to graduate from high school. Fisher Business of the Year, the Queensland Group, where Paul Smith and Stu Anderson have created a $1 million landscaping and drainage business, which is creating jobs and funding local community groups through campaigns like the Give Me 5 for Kids appeal. The Fisher Educator of the Year, Grease Boss. They're fast becoming an Internet of Things and high-tech manufacturing icon across industries, all while supporting men's mental health. The Fisher Employee of the Year, Josie Tully, a proud Gomeroi woman and commercial analyst at Helimods, whose work in and beyond the workplace is empowering young people and women to thrive. Fisher Senior of the Year, Kath Scully, for making a difference to the isolated and those in palliative care through her writing, radio, dance teaching and personal support. The Fisher Senior Group of the Year was Uniform for Kids. They've provided over 3,000 items of clothing for young people in need by connecting law enforcement and first responders with a hard-working team of artisans in Caloundra. I've actually jumped behind the sewing machine and helped them out once. Doesn't happen very often, Mr Deputy Speaker, but I did it that day. Fisher Environmental Leader of the Year, Malula River Land Care, whose education, citizen science and practical environmental initiatives are engaging locals across generations to protect our local environment. The Andrew Wallace Community Group of the Year was won by the Mooloolaba Surf Lifesaving Club, now sometimes referred to as South Alex. Now, this Surf Lifesaving Club celebrated 100 years of life-saving patrol and community service. Thank you to all the clubbies at Mooloolaba. Thank you for your vigilance and service, and thank you to all those who took part in the program.